Best of r/malicious compliance episode 114. Subscribe for edit videos daily. My dad's words years ago when I started a discussion with my mom over some dumb racist shit she said on Facebook. Facebook brings out the worst in my mother, who in real life used to be a lovely woman but over the years got lost in her echo chamber of stupidity. I tried getting her out, but I'm not to get involved in my mom's Facebook stuff. Today there was an illegal protest in my city. A protest organized on Facebook by the lowest of the low of our society. We have a group of about 100 delusionals in the country who are actually willing to get from behind their keyboards and disrupt public transport in my city any opportunity they can get in the name of the people. My parents, not a part of the 100 but seem to be well on their way, went to today's protest. The protest was illegal. They were told to separate and leave. They didn't. They got arrested. Haha. They didn't have any form of identification on them, so they were not allowed to leave. My dad called for the first time this afternoon asking me to go to their place, pick up the IDs and then the police station. I asked if this was about the Facebook event. He said yes. I said I better not get involved, then hung up and ignored his next 17 calls. My aunt apparently went to pick them up later tonight and everyone's pissed at me saying I'm a traitor except for grandma, who called to say she misses me and I haven't been able to get the grin off my face. Thank you. Next. Just after high school I worked at a local grocery store. One of the managers was a pain to work for. Like, even the groceries had to be bagged a certain way or we would get in trouble. A wall full of info and notification, and she would say, "Hey, did you see the flyer on the wall by the time clock?" No, which one? I cannot believe all of you are such bad employees and haven't read this. Oh yeah, I wasn't sure which flyer you were talking about since there are a lot there. One night she asked me to go straighten up the rocks around the trees in the parking lot. I asked if I could use a shovel or something and she said number. It wasn't that hard. I could use my hands. Assuming it would take 20 minutes. Okay. I went and picked up every single rock I could find in the parking lot and customers kept asking why I wasn't using a shovel. I said I'm not allowed. I have to do it by hand. 2 hours later she came out looking for me. She said, "OP, why are you out here so long? Picking up the rocks by hand like you asked." She had the nerve to look at me and say, "Why didn't you use a shovel? I was just doing what you told me to do." I don't remember her bothering me as much after that. Also, at the new store they put mulch down and have someone go out and sweep it up. I just saw an employee doing that and reminded me of this story. Update. I wasn't purposely being malicious at the time. They were more like pebbles and small stones that they used around trees next to where cars parked. So people were always walking over them to go in and out of their cars. This was in the middle of a Midwest muggy 90 degrees evening in my full uniform, long sleeve button up and slacks. Professor Tiny Potato is a she, lol. Edit 2. I don't mean the normal common sense way of bagging groceries. Stop assuming that I was an idiot who couldn't bag groceries. Hot with hot, cold with cold, bread/egg/chips together. Stop assuming I was stupid or lazy. It was 15 years ago. Micromanaging someone after they have been well trained is obsessive and unnecessary. Thank you. Next. Obligatory mobile yada yada TL. DR at bottom. So 4 years ago I was 2 years removed from the army, young and dumb, going to school and working part-time at a grocery store between dairy/frozen food, breaking down trucks, and produce depending on who needed help. But mainly I was breaking down the truck during this time. Project X goes on to why so stokers have easier time. Well, one small truck day I finished about 2 hours earlier than usual and not wanting to lose hours, asked what I could do. My assistant manager has bright idea to clean out a storage closet to make a break room even though we already had one. So he's removing boxes and boxes of unused price tags. Easily 70-90 pounds each, and he wants them brought down 2 flights of stairs, totaling about 20 stairs. Before I went into and during my time in the army, this was no problem. But now my knees are shot and my back has issues. I tried to inform him of the 2-person lift policy the company had, but he told me, "You're young, you got this," or some dismissive lazy comment similar. I tried again but was dismissed away. Well, on my second load, I was going down the stairs and my knee buckled. Tried to re-establish control, and my knee gave completely out. Extremely sprained knee. No idea of the terminology here, sorry. He then tried to play it off as me faking it to avoid doing an incident report even though my leg swelled to double its size in 5 minutes. He didn't even fill one out until the next day, after I again maliciously complied to coming in the next day at store manager's request / him telling an extravagant lie about me faking it, with the brace and crutches I had from previous same knee injury in army. After they took pictures of my knee and my statement, I could hear him being yelled at from the store entrance. He was at another store when I came back from workers' compensation 2 months later, and was allegedly in deep water with company. TL. DR manager makes me carry 70-90 pound boxes down alone despite corporate policy. Knee gives out. Workers' compensation for me and he is moved / reprimanded. Thank you. Next. I wasn't sure if this would be more MC or R / pity revenge, but considering this isn't really revenge I decided to post this here. I currently live with my mother, and trying to be a decent son for putting up with me for so long. I often ask if she wants me to bring her up anything to eat, snacks or desserts and whatnot. When asking someone if they want anything, the most frustrating thing to me, and a lot of people I imagine, is surprise me. My mother, as sweet as she is horrible with this. I'll even give her options and she'll just go, oh I don't know, just surprise me. So I started doing just that. I started bringing up various random objects to her. Some of my favorites are as follows. I once asked if she wanted regular or golden Oreos. She couldn't decide, so I broke some of each in half so she got half and half Oreos. A bottle of Febreze. A dog toy. Half a donut, as I was eating the other half. Her left snow boot, when she left them downstairs. And an empty paper towel. Now I know these are petty and don't mean much, but that's the point. It's just me being a smartass to my mother when she can't make up her mind. To her credit, since I started these shenanigans, she has said surprise me far less often than she used to. Anyway, these are just some small moments that have kept me entertained during quarantine. I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I do. Edit. Some formatting. Thank you. Next. Due to the lockdown, my younger brother is stuck at home learning virtually. He was sent a PDF file and was instructed to correct the grammatical errors. Obviously, the teacher wanted him to rewrite the document by hand while fixing the errors as he went. What he decided to do was open the file as a Word document and started right-clicking on all the underlined mistakes, then letting the computer correct it. Genius. Thank you. Next. Not sure if I'm allowed to name companies, so I'll just say that I've been working for one of Canada's most popular, if not most well-known fast food chains for a little under a year. I've never really had too many problems with customers, and if someone is rude to me I usually don't care and just let them say what they want and get rid of them ASAP, but this one was the first one I've dealt with that was just trying to be malicious. So the customer comes through the drive-thru and tries to pay with a bill that's basically ripped in half and is attached by less than half a cm. The company policy is we can't accept it, so I apologize and tell him I can't accept it. He didn't seem upset at all and says it's cool and hands me a 10. So everything is good. I hand him his drinks and a toonie, $2, for change. It's not good enough. I didn't understand and asked him what he meant and he said he wanted it all in nickels. 5C. Because he seemed so chill when I told him I couldn't take the money. I was cool with getting the coins. Nickels come in packages of $2 in the till and I just replaced it before he came in, so I know there's exactly $2 in the nickel area, but I still quickly counted out in front of him, partly because I wanted to speed thing up so he wouldn't count it himself, but also because I thought he might have been fucking with me and wanted him to think he was making me do work, and I hand him $2 in nickels. It's not good enough. Okay, he's fucking with me. He asks for a toonie instead. I tell him sorry, we don't have any tonies, which we both know is a license. I already tried to hand him one, but I still insist there's no toonie because screw this guy, he asked for this. After a bit of back and forth he has decided he no longer wants his drinks and requests a refund. So I take his drinks back and give him his $10 back, but there's a problem. Somehow our entire store is out of any currency other than dimes, which conveniently for me are stored in packs of $5. So I open 2 packs of dimes and hand him all 100 of his coins, and he drives off with no drinks, number $10 bill, and is up 100 dimes and what looked like a very embarrassed girlfriend in the passenger seat. Thank you. Next. My company uses lockdown Microsoft Windows thin clients, and as of a few years ago we were on Windows XP, which struggled with file extensions and associations. We're on Engineering Shop, and use Scrum and tools like Jira to track project requirements and progress towards completion. One time, a first-level boss asked us all to submit weekly reports to her. I protested that we all spend plenty of time updating Jira so that the managers could see all that they needed to see by logging them there, and that submitting weekly reports was duplicating that work. She said that looking at Jira seemed hard, so we should submit weeklies instead. Okay, boss. Each week I submitted my weeklies, nicely typed up, but rather than doing so in Word like most, I submitted my weeklies as text files, using Linux tools. Further, the weeklies were named Bobamek Weekly. Date, where, date, looked something like 20,200,105. To open these files in Windows, she'd have to double-click the file in Outlook. Windows would then complain it didn't know how to open a 20,200,105 file, and give her possible applications and checkbox that said always open 20,200,105 files with application. If she chose Notepad, of course the Linux line endings would cause the file to be one long line and she'd have to open it in another application, which is especially challenging if she had checked the checkbox. Since the file had a different extension each week, she'd have to pound through the process over and over just to read my weeklies. Months later, I was talking to her about something, and mentioned that I'd discussed a topic in one of my weeklies. She confessed that she hadn't been reading them because they were too hard to open. Eventually, of course, the manager moved on, as did the requirements to do weeklies. One other thing, yay. Looking at the Jira reports didn't make any sense to the managers. The reports don't make sense to me either. This was part of my point. Entering a bunch of updates into Jira ends up being either a lot of work to get it and keep it consistent and right so people can understand it, or a complete waste of time for a small team.